welcome to this podcast from the Child Protection in Sport Unit. We're part of the NSPCC and funded by UK sports councils. Our work supports organisations to safeguard all children taking part in sport.
Hello and welcome to the new NSPCC CPSU Keeping Your Children Safe in Sports podcast. My name is Connor and I will be your host. I'm a member of the NSPCC's Young People's Board for Change and play Sunday League football, which has led me to have a keen interest in the topics we will be discussing today. The podcast has been made in support for the Keeping Your Children Safe in Sport campaign, an annual campaign aiming to support all sport and physical activity organisations to build a strong sporting community which involves parents and carers to keep children and young people safer and enable them to thrive and enjoy their sport. So let's get straight into it.
So I'm Michelle North. I head up the Child Protection in Sport Unit.
How can parents be more involved in ensuring their children's safety in sports, and what should they look out for when choosing a sports club or programme?
I think it's really important that parents take time to look for the right club. Your child might say that they want to take part in this sport. The nearest one might not be the best one for your young person. So do a bit of research in the same way you would for any other part of their lives, and make sure that that's a club that has a safeguarding policy that they're producing and publicising, that they are open to talk to you about safeguarding. They have a club welfare officer. They talk about the coaches being adequately trained and qualified, things that would give you confidence that you're allowing your child to go and they'll be in a safe space.
Yeah, and I think what you said about research is really important, and the easy option would just be to go to the nearest one. But it's so important because, like you said, a bad experience can put you off sport permanently, and no one wants that. No young person who's loving a sport would want to ever feel like they don't want to do that sport again based on an experience. I'm sure it would only take 5-10 minutes to work out if a club has a decent support system. And if they're not sharing much about it, it's probably because they don't.
It's exactly that. The internet is there as an amazing tool when it's a good thing. You can find this information out and how they're talking about safeguarding or, the voice of young people. That will give you a flavour of that culture of that club and whether that would be a good fit for your young person and you as a family. I think there's another bit to it as well, is that most parents are the best person that knows the young person. So if there's any additional needs that those young people might have, finding those clubs that are inclusive and welcoming and are going to be a right fit, it's worth making those inquiries first, because poor experience can put you off of sport for life. And actually thinking about what that young person will enjoy, how they will be able to take part in a sport. We've seen some really good examples of clubs filming what it's like to go from the bus stop into the club where the changing rooms are. For someone who's nervous or anxious, that would really help for the first time that you kind of go along. I think in terms of how they can be involved in their safety, it has to be about communication and talking to those young people when they come back from training or an event. How was it? Did you have fun? And the answer to those, did you have fun, is probably going to tell you whether they're happy or not, or felt safe or not. And it's then understanding and making sure that the parents have the information to raise a concern. But it's that communication piece. Keep checking in with your young people and making sure they're enjoying their sport.
What would you like to see parents doing to help their children stay mentally and physically resilient when faced with setbacks like injuries or tough losses?
It's never an easy one. And if we look at it from a grassroots perspective, it is about talking to the young people, acknowledging that they may have lost the match and maybe not dwelling on that, maybe talking to them about, did they do well? What did they enjoy about that? I think when you start to move up the pathway into young people on the elite pathway, it's really difficult to balance that being pushed to get the results that you want. But I think whether they're grassroots or elite, it should be enjoyable for young people. And a child shouldn't be seen by just how good they are at their sport, either at grassroots or elite. So I think it's about talking to them, what else have they got outside of the sport? If they're injured and they can't go to the training, is there anything else in their lives that gives them joy? Or could you take them along to watch the training? We've had really good examples of clubs who have wanted to retain contact with young people who are injured, probably on a longer term, and seeing what other roles that they can have within the club. They might not be able to train or compete, but they can take up other roles. So I think it's about the parents understanding, is that what the young person wants, and how that can be facilitated. So I think there's a communication piece between the parents and the club, and making sure that that is incredibly child-centred, that it always comes down to, what does the young person want to do?
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned about elite clubs is really important, because I think at those sort of clubs, it's difficult to remember that kids should still be having fun, because there's so much pressure on people trying to go professional in the sport. It can often be forgotten, and injuries in professional clubs can end someone's chances quite quickly, and they need to have something else fun in their life, like you said, to be able to fall back on. And it's really important that if you're in a professional club, that you know that you have the backup just in case, because you never know what might happen. Even if you think you're the best player in the world, you have like something that you can do if you unfortunately get let go.
It is that one bit of your identity, isn't it? And it could be your career. It could be, but it's still a part of your identity, in the way that my job is a bit of my identity, but not my whole identity. And it's, how do we encourage people to invest that time and effort into friends, social life, family, education, when it can feel like you have to give absolutely everything.
And it is, like you said, I don't think that word came up, but balance is the most important thing. There needs to be a balance between sport and the rest of your life, and fun and safety and friends. It's so important that you find that balance.
So if young people do feel unsafe or unhappy about anything, the NSPCC has the Childline service, which is a 24-hour service where you can phone up or go online and talk to somebody. And there's always somebody there to listen, to help you work through what you're worried about, and just make sure that you stay safe, really.
Thank you for listening to this Child Protection in Sport Unit podcast. If you're looking for more information and resources on safeguarding children in sport, please visit our website at thecpsu.org.uk.